Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, MBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie, I live in New York, and I love fashion, travel, and cultural events, and I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. Hey friends, as you know from my previous video, I went to Atlanta to see the world premiere of Bust, a play directed by my daughter Lileana Blain-Cruz and written by Zora Howard. So here I am in the wee hours of the morning heading to LaGuardia for a 7 a.m. flight. Our friends Harriet and David graciously invited us to their home so that we could spend a good solid 5 days in Atlanta and that we could all go to the opening together. I love an early morning flight. The airport is usually quieter and your flight is usually scheduled to go right on time. But I did forget how tired airports make me. I didn't know what I was thinking that I didn't get a wheelchair right off the bat, but I did. And LaGuardia has been expanded. It's a beautiful airport, but a wheelchair was definitely needed. Once we got to Atlanta, one of the United States' largest airports with a hub that you need to take a train to get to different areas, including claiming your luggage, I was super happy that a wheelchair was waiting for us. So here we are on the Atlanta train heading to the baggage claim. Harriet and David were fantastic hosts. They picked us up from the airport and they had a whole itinerary planned. It happened to be Harriet's son Stephen's birthday along with his wife Jackie. So we started off by going to their home and meeting up for lunch. David and Harriet are big time foodies, so they had all these authentic places to take us to, and we ended up here at Boteca, which is Brazilian tacos. And here's the adorable Ava. It's amazing how time flies because we've known Harriet and David for over 30 years. We became friends in Florida, and through long distance, our friendship carried through. Here's the meal. It was delicious. I loved all the flavors and I loved the spiciness. That evening, we were scheduled to meet up with Jackie and Stephen again, and this time go to the Southern National for a delicious meal in honor of their birthdays. Southern National has a James Beard nominated chef. It's quite an elegant restaurant. The cuisine is known for a global twist on Southern fare. It's an elevated dining experience, and the bar is known for its well-crafted cocktails. At this restaurant, Jackie had recommended the phony Negroni because it tasted like a Negroni without the alcohol. What a great recommendation, and she was sweet enough to bring me a bottle to take home. This is the loving couple that their birthdays a week apart, and it was so much fun being with them. The next day, we went to J. Alexander, where I had some barbecued ribs that I fell in love with. Harriet had us quite busy because we also squeezed in a movie at like 12. We got to see One of Them Days with Keke Palmer. I laughed so hard. Then, of course, we had a wedding to go to. A tuxedo black tie affair was being held. This couple, they're on the move. They've got game. And we were having a great time. So this is more of a traditional wedding or an Orthodox wedding that I had never experienced before. As I told Harriet, I've seen it in movies, but it was really a pleasant surprise to go and have this experience. And one of the biggest things is that the men and women during the cocktail hour are separated. So the women are in a room and the men are in another room, and then you join together to come for the ceremony. And then once the ceremony is over and you enter the grand ballroom, there is a wall dividing the men and the women because there's going to be separate dancing. The ceremony was beautiful. The couple was beautiful. What can be more romantic than watching two young people start their lives together?
I was also quite impressed with the marriage contract, which is officially read in Hebrew by the different males in both families. And then at the end, the rabbi explained what the contract was, and it basically goes, you owe your husband nothing, but he owes you everything. And I immediately was like, I need to remarry in the Orthodox tradition. He owes you everything. Yes. Sensing my excitement, my husband leaned over and said, I already give you everything. And I was like, you're right, darling, you're right. The ceremony was beautiful. I was grateful to have been invited. I was experiencing something new. And now came time for the dancing. I saw the wall that was built, and I was waiting for the dancing to start, and this full all-out band came. They were fabulous. This was a great weekend. I'm so grateful that Harriet and David included us in this, and I'm grateful to the hostess that told them to bring us along. So here we go. Everybody's gathering for the hora. This is not for the weak, okay? I mean, there was a lot of energy being expended in this dancing, in this clapping, in this circle. And I was on the other side with the women, and I got tired. And these women were doing it in heels, all right? And at one point, the bride and the groom are lifted up in chairs. And I kept looking to see when the men were going to come over to lift the bride. That didn't happen. The bride was lifted by all the women on her side. And I was in awe because I was tired just from clapping. And I'm watching these women lift her in the chair while wearing heels and raise her up and down for this entire time. I was like, what did they do? Did they go into training for this? I was like, I felt so weak, but I was super impressed. As you can tell, I had a glorious time. It was so joyful. I love this. I love the energy. I love the joy. I love the camaraderie. I was very impressed. I remember when Harriet's son, her oldest, Matthew, got married, and it was the first time I had seen the groom get walked down the aisle by both his mother and his father, and then the bride was escorted by her mother and her father. And I felt in our Christian traditional wedding, where it's just the bride that gets walked down by her dad and the groom is waiting at the altar, I felt like, wow, we're missing so much. Because yes, both parents should be represented for both the groom and the bride. And after seeing this at Matthew's ceremony, I incorporated it into my son's ceremony when he got married. And it was a wonderful feeling. And so here I was clapping and humming because the music is familiar, but I had to get off that dance floor and take a breather. But I was glad to have been a part of it. And then somebody looked at me and said, tired already? I'm like, yeah, I'm just tired from clapping. But it was fun. I hope you get the feel for the joy and the camaraderie and the kinship that this wedding held, and the very welcoming, joyous spirit. So my brother asked me, how are you going to this wedding? Do you know the bride and the groom? Do you know the parents? And I'm like, no, I don't. But Harriet had told them that she had out-of-town guests coming, and the mother graciously said, please bring them, because we have some family that is unable to make it. So please bring them. The more the merrier. So when Harriet called to tell me this, I was like thrilled. Who else do I need to know? Harriet and David were there. the mom was gracious enough to invite us. It's a wedding. It's a joyous occasion. And I am the woman that takes pictures of brides in the park that I don't know, but I just take their picture because they're beautiful and I love weddings. So I was thrilled to be here. Oh, did I also mention that this being an Orthodox wedding, the reception was held on a Sunday. So everybody was partying this hard and they had to go to work Monday. That includes David, who had to get up at 4 a.m. to go to work. But Harriet and David know how to party because we were there and we were partying hard. Also, Harriet, always being the conscientious hostess, was already making plans for us for Monday. She said that we could borrow their car. She wanted us to go out to the Korean spa because, of course, we would need to be massaged after this workout. And I'm just really impressed, and here we are all together after a fantastic time. Later, the walls came down, the rabbi had left, and then couples were able to dance together. And I said before, the band was fantastic, but I had that expectation because after Matt's wedding, I was so impressed with the band that I knew this must be a thing. And this band had a very high standard to meet, and they met it. Before the spa, we had a wonderful breakfast recommendation called the Griddle, and it did not disappoint. I really enjoyed it. I ended up eating there 2 days in a row. And then we headed off to the spa. And I'm familiar with the Korean spa because we tend to go out to Jersey to King Spa. So it's wonderful. It's got hot tub, cold plunge, and they do this complete body scrub for you. That's fantastic. So after that day, I was very chill with Harriet, David, and Alex, and we were watching White Lotus. And then on Tuesday, Harriet recommended that we go to the aquarium. I was like, oh, the aquarium, Harriet? She goes, oh, you should go. It's wonderful. So I'm on vacation. What else am I doing? And boy, was I dazzled by the aquarium. This is a great spot in Atlanta. The land was donated by Coca-Cola. So in this area, you have the Coca-Cola Museum, you have the aquarium, and you have the Civil Rights Museum. And the Civil Rights Museum was currently closed because they were expanding. It's not due to open till the fall. But it's a great place. And then they have eateries there and a beautiful open space. I did not expect to be as wowed as I was by the Atlanta Aquarium. And as far back as 2005, it was the largest aquarium in the world. And then, of course, people had to beat that record. So the largest is in Singapore, and the Atlanta Aquarium has fallen into 6th place. But the aquarium is still the largest in the United States. The aquarium exhibits hundreds of species and thousands of animals across its 7 major galleries, all of which resides in more than 11 million U.S. gallons of water. It was the largest aquarium in the world from its opening in 2005 until 2012, when it was surpassed by the Sea Aquarium in Singapore and the Chimelong Ocean Kingdom in China. The aquarium's notable specimens include whale sharks, beluga whales, California sea lions, bottleneck dolphins, manta rays, sea otters, and tiger sharks. Its centerpiece is a 6.3 million U.S. gallon whale shark exhibit. A $250 million donation from the Foundation of Local Businessmen and the Home Depot co-founder Bernard Marcus provided the bulk of the funding needed to build and stock the new facility. Because of this large donation, the Atlanta Aquarium was able to open without debt. This aquarium was really a showstopper, and I was very impressed by this philanthropist that gave this gift to Atlanta, a big educational facility that even had me, an adult, oohing and eyeing. It was really breathtaking to see this universe. And yes, I'm going to encourage you to go see it if you do visit Atlanta. In this room, you're actually walking underneath the space of the aquarium, looking up at the fish. I think they had this exhibit in Atlantis, but here we have it at the Atlanta Aquarium, and there's also a pad that you can stand on that slowly glides you through this exhibit, so you're moving at the same pace as the fish. And then you also have this other room, which is a huge auditorium in which you're looking into their world. I was told that this aquarium sits on 13 acres. I think the equivalent of 2 football fields, and it's not everything that's visible to the public. I did also enjoy the shark tank exhibit. This is the shark whale, and we found out that this was fished off the coast of Japan because they actually eat this variety of shark, and it was rescued because the aquarium purchased it for its exhibit, and they had to formulate a special box with UPS to transport it across the world to the Atlanta Aquarium. A lot of fascinating facts. There's a lot of hands-on and activities for the children. I did enjoy the alligator exhibit, but I kind of chuckled because I'm from Florida and I've gone to the Everglades, where I've walked alongside bigger sized alligators than that. Yeah, crazy when I think about it. But I did appreciate living in Florida and all the nature that we're surrounded by, because I also recalled the dolphins that swam in the intercoastal. And I remember one time in Cocoa Beach when we were surrounded by stingrays. It was actually quite beautiful to see them, but scary when you didn't know what was coming. And here is the open space in the aquarium where you could see all 3 institutions. You could see the Coca-Cola Museum, you could see the Civil Rights Museum as you sit from the stoop of the aquarium. And then, of course, later that night, we met up with Harriet and David for dinner, and they took us to an authentic Thai restaurant. Delicious. And then on Wednesday, we headed to Midtown to the Shane Hotel for our stay and the opening night of Bust. So you saw this in more detail in our previous video. I hope you watched that so you could get a feel for how Atlanta throws an opening night. We had a great time. We also met up with my cousin Josie, who flew in from New York, and her daughter Dominique and her fiance Chris. And there was dancing and laughter for all. And after all is said and done, as usual, all good things must come to an end. And we were heading to the Atlanta airport to head back to New York. So while in Atlanta, I experienced a mild winter, sunshine, long days, warm afternoons. So I was not quite ready for the jolt I got when going back to New York, and there was snow, and it was cloudy and gray and cold. But hey, that's why I bought that fur hat, baby. I hope you join me on the next adventure, and if you enjoyed this, please leave me a comment or a heart in the comments section. Remember to subscribe, share, and like.